The harsh words from House Republicans today may have earned them some ink and maybe even some coverage on cable television today, but it doesn't change the fact that they, because of their views on this issue, remain pretty isolated from the American public.
Another day in governmental paradise, a new Congress preparing to work, a president seeking to cement his legacy, and the voters forced to sit back and hope someone becomes the adult in the room. This while we are often treated to even more pairs of diapers being changed by those who whine and get very little done. Sidle up to the changing station. Let's welcome back to MidPoint former diplomat, former candidate for the presidency, conservative political activist, and syndicated talker. That's right, the man for all seasons, Alan Keyes joins us. Alan, it's a pleasure to have you on the show again.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Alan, is it not fair to say that Mitch McConnell and the president, they sit down, they look across each other, it makes absolutely no difference if they have bourbon in hand, ice water, or absolutely nothing. Nothing is really going to get done because the president will refuse to move on anything.
Well, I'm not sure that's true. I think, in point of fact, the Republicans are taking the view they got a mandate to work with Obama, which is news to most of the people who voted for them. I think they got a mandate to stop Barack Obama from pursuing the courses of action that he's pursuing. And the notion that on immigration, his dictatorial moves have won the support of the people is absurd. Right now, the Republicans, in my view, are acting with a cowardice not justified by their recent electoral victory. And it suggests what I've said all along, that they agree with Barack Obama's policy of destroying our regime for controlling immigration and for not enforcing the law when it comes to legal immigration. That's
Let me ask you a question there. Hold on one second,
now.
Alan. Let me stop you there. Who agrees with the president? Can you name names?
Oh, I think Boehner agrees with the president. I think McConnell. I think the whole gaggle of Republicans in the Senate and House who go by the proper appellation, I think, of Republicans in name only. Some people call them Quislings. I call them because they're betraying the constituents who voted for them. We don't want the massive importation of illegals. And insofar as anything moves forward, the first priority for most Americans is to secure the border, not to make sure people are coming across it to do God knows what. They say it's all about economics, but that's a lie. It also poses a severe threat to our national security, is being abused by our enemies. And meanwhile, they make the show of disagreeing with each other for a moment. And the Republicans then continually say they will do nothing to back up their supposed rhetoric.
Alan, I hate you, but I'm not going to put words in your mouth here, Alan.
They're not going to impeach.
I'm not going to put words in your mouth here, but are you calling people like that, Boehner and McConnell, liars and frauds?
Well, I've done that in my columns for many months now. I think the Republicans have basically been a sham. They're a sham opposition party. They're no longer in opposition. They collect the votes and energy of people who would like to see us return to limited government, to constitutionalism, to the bedrock moral principles of the society, and to respect for our own sovereignty. But they're doing nothing about it, and they haven't for several years.
But then, Alan, I've heard this before. We've heard a lot of people say these exact words, that there's cowardice, that they're spineless. And I can never seem to get an answer to this question. Who then is the person or persons who have the spine, who have the guts, who can push this forward and get it done? Nobody wants to name names on that side.
Well, I'll be quite clear. I think, for instance, I took a little poll this morning in which folks were asking about who should be the Senate Majority Leader, not who is going to be. And this was on one of the websites that's kind of bedrock conservative website. And the answer was Ted Cruz. So there are people who have been speaking out and who have been demanding accountability, not to some mythical governing, but to the voters who elected you. These people think that they're accountable to some mythical idea of governing and that they're going to go ahead and govern regardless of what their constituents think.
All right, but let me get to this, though, Alan. I got about 40 seconds left, and then I have to take a break here. I started this out by saying the American public wants to pound their feet on the table or pound their feet on the floor. They want to pound their hands on the desk, and they want something to get done. But aren't they pretty powerless at this point? It doesn't seem as if anything anybody screams about is getting done.
I frankly don't think they want something done in the sense of they want to move forward with this whole nonsensical regime in which we recognize millions of illegals without consequence except to our budget and our communities and our safety. We don't want those consequences. We want to see the laws enforced first and foremost. We want to see that border secured. We want to see the sovereignty of the American people reasserted. Then it will be time to talk about other things.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to hold on just a couple of minutes here. Let's break. We'll return with Alan Keyes to tackle the questions and issues few are really willing to get serious about in the wake of Ferguson. It is a difficult discussion that people are shying away from. And at 22 minutes after the hour, the national agency that needs to stop waffling and get serious about enforcing automobile safety, as somebody who makes airbags says they're not going to comply with the government. That and more coming up right here on MidPoint.